Hi, my name is the actor, but you may call me Jefferson, and welcome to the FrightsFiction video. I want to make something very clear before we start. Anything I say in this video is directed at the theory, not directed towards anyone who believes FrightsFiction. You're more than welcome to believe anything you want, and frankly I think FrightsFiction has as much possibility of being true as any other theory in the fandom nowadays, which pains me, but it's true. So, strap in. FrightsFiction is the fan theory that all of the Frights books, and depending on who you ask, the Tales books, are published in universe by Fazbear Entertainment, oftentimes being sold at the Mega Pizzaplex. People bring up evidence such as Fazbear Frights characters appearing in arcade cabinets in Security Breach. They'll bring up the idea that none of the characters from the games show up in the Fright stories, further emphasizing that these could be in-universe books. People like to bring up the story What We Found, which could be read as a FNAF 3 retelling. But does that mean Room for One More is a sister location retelling? And does that mean that in your thing, the Stitch Wraith would be an Innard retelling? This is just what Game Theory said 5 years ago. No. I probably shouldn't have said that, because in Game Theory's last video, they brought up Games Fiction, which let me talk about that for a second. Which on that note, I don't really like Andrew as a character at all. So you might say, well, it seems like FrightsFiction would be right up your alley. That would be the ultimate disrespect to Andrew. Yeah, well, I don't like Michael Afton either, and I hate Games Fiction, so. FrightsFiction doesn't add anything, because you can already use parallel logic, and you can already use the clues from it, whether or not they're in universe or not, whether or not they're published by Fazbear Entertainment or not. What FrightsFiction does is take away. FrightsFiction takes away these characters and events from the Five Nights at Freddy's multiverse. Now, I know what you're saying, oh, well, technically, a multiverse is infinite. That's boring. Okay. But an infinitely expanding multiverse where the only difference is what toppings you put in your hamburger? That makes no sense to me. Why would that exist? Why would that need to exist? God is a bad writer. And before you try to argue with me that, oh, FNAF doesn't have a multiverse, that's overeyes. Back in 2016, Scott Cawthon published a book called The Silver Eyes, and he squarely stated that the book was not in the game's timeline. Not in the game's universe. What do you call that? I call that a multiverse. Also, if you look at the Fanverse promotional image, it says every franchise needs a multiverse. It used the word. How much more proof does this pudding need? It is my belief that in Five Nights at Freddy's currently, we have a couple different universes. We have the game's timeline, which, as much as I would love to separate it, I don't see any evidence for. So that would be FNAF 1 all the way up to Secret of the Mimic. It's up to you if you want to include the End of the Pit game or not. That's fully up to you. I don't, but that's fully up to you. Next universe we have is the Frights Tales universe, which I connect those universes because of Frailty, and I think someone said there's a couple other similarities, but and then we also have the movie universe and Silver Eyes as well, novels. So those are all the universes that I have discovered so far. Maybe in 2034 for the 20th anniversary of Five Nights at Freddy's, because they're definitely gonna still be gone by then. Maybe in 2034 we'll have like a FNAF multiverse of. I almost said Yifness again. I gotta get that word out of my vocabulary. Now, are the Fanverse games their own universe? Well, I mean, they were given an official stamp of approval and they are getting worked on directly with Click Team from how I interpreted the article I read 3 years ago. I may not remember it fully well. But if we do, then we have The Joy of Creation, Pop Goes, and I think Five Nights at Candy's. Are those the only fan-first games? I can't remember. Yeah. The Joy of Creation has been like a hot lore item for a decade. Or Fright's Tales, which I'll probably think of a better name for that eventually, but for now I'm calling it Fright's Tales. Everything in the Frights books still happens, and everything in the Tales books still happens, and everything in the epilogue still happens, and everything in the stitch line still happens. Some people hear that and they're like, well, what's the point? To read? To enjoy? To... I don't know, what's the point of anything? I have read one Fright story and one Tales story. The Fright's story, Prankster, and I've read the Tales story, Frailty. And let me tell you, I feel so connected to Jeremiah as a character. Prankster might have just been written about me. The only reason I'm not more conspiratorial about this is that the Fazbear Frights books came out like 8 years ago. Not 8 years ago. They came out like 5 years ago. And I was not in Jeremiah's situation then. I wouldn't say I'm in Jeremiah's situation right now, thankfully. The first half of the book was pretty relatable, but you know, the last half where he found like fingers in a jar, thankfully that has not happened to me yet, but I have not turned 23 yet either, so we still have time. Right now I relate to the first part of the story where he was 22. I'm 22. Maybe next year when I turn 23, we'll see if the latter half of the story comes true as well. But I feel so connected to Jeremiah and Jessica as characters that if their stories are just in-universe dribble, slop, produced by Fazbear Entertainment, then I will have a depressive episode. Now you might be saying, well, why can't they be both? And there's nothing stopping them from being both, but that's not what FrightsFiction means. FrightsFiction does not mean that in this universe they're in their published books and in that universe they're real. That's not... FrightsFiction just means they're fake. And also, you know, I kept trying to look for videos from other people, trying to, because I don't want to say the same things they did. So I kept trying to look for videos from other people talking about FrightsFiction. And they were all Stitch Line believers, so I feel like I'm bringing a new perspective on this. You know, but even if we take out my multiverse kink and we look back at the theory itself, it kind of falls flat when you ask why would Fazbear Entertainment publish these books in the first place. The Freddy Fazbear Virtual Experience was heavily sanitized, and it was sort of taken as... I interpreted the Freddy Fazbear Virtual Experience as being something that they did, but they like... It was self-satire. Fazbear Frights could be that, but Tales from the Pizzaplex, where the story Under Construction, which I did not read, but I got the graphic novel one time from a library, and I guess that's still called reading. That's true. I was about to say I watched the comic book, but no, it's still reading. So I read two Tales stories, Under Construction and Frailty. Like, why would you publish Under Construction or The Mimic? You know, unless it was like a Halloween thing, I guess. But I don't... In Security Breach, we find duffel bag messages all over the place where they're like, hey, we remember what happened to those kids. You have blood on your hands. It's possible that Fazbear Entertainment would like publish a book and like, yeah, here's what happened to those kids. It's fake. But if that's already in the public conscious, I don't think it would work. Especially not... I ranted about this in my last theory video, so I don't want to go into it again, especially because in the canon games timeline, 8 years pass from Pizzeria Simulator to Security Breach. uh, I'll never get over that. It bugs me. It irks me. It pains me in my soul. Only 8 years. And that's not saying that FrightsFiction could not work. If I was to strongman FrightsFiction right now, I would say that maybe in, like, okay, let's take Help Wanted for example. As a game, the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience was packaged and sold as Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, Five Nights at Freddy's VR. So there is a possibility that in our world, the real world, it's called Fazbear's Frights and Tales from the Pizzaplex, and they're these books, but it could be in universe they are No Sleep Stories, or they're creepypasta stuff, and Fazbear Entertainment might have paid someone to write those and publish those. But that's not what FrightsFiction is saying. But it's possible, right? It's possible, since we know that stuff in our real world is not always packaged and sold the same in the games universe. It's just something I thought of.